Sir Alex Ferguson and Roy Keane were once seen as one of the greatest manager-captain duos in football history, winning numerous titles together at Manchester United. However, their relationship took a dramatic turn and became strained, leading to a very public and bitter falling out. In this video, we will delve into the reasons behind their feud and how it ultimately resulted in Keane's departure from the club. Before we start, we want to hear from you. You can suggest a topic for a future video by clicking the link in the video description and telling us about your idea. We appreciate your input and look forward to creating content that interests you. Now, let's get to it. Collaborating as a team brought about unprecedented achievement, including a remarkable haul of 7 Premier League titles, 4 FA Cups and a Champions League victory with the prestigious treble achieved in the 1998-1999 season. However, the previously harmonious relationship between the two figures soured dramatically, leading to a public display of animosity that resulted in Roy Keane's departure from Manchester United, with his contract being terminated in November 2005. Despite the passage of time, there has been no effort to mend the rift and reconcile their differences. This begs the question, what caused the irreparable breakdown in the once formidable alliance between Sir Alex Ferguson and Roy Keane? The initial trigger that set the course for the infamous Sir Alex Ferguson vs Roy Keane feud occurred during a seemingly routine pre-season summer camp in Portugal, where Carlos Queiroz, Fergie's trusted assistant, had arranged villas for the staff and players. However, the tranquility of the occasion was soon disrupted when Keane raised a concern about the size of his assigned villa, which he felt was inadequate for his family of 7, leading to a series of rejections of different villas. Upon Ferguson's arrival from his summer holiday, he was confronted with the escalating conflict, with Queiroz detailing Keane's unreasonable demands. According to Fergie's autobiography, Keane's first rejection was due to the lack of air conditioning in one of the rooms, followed by a similar issue with the second villa. Despite being offered a fantastic third villa, Keane adamantly refused to settle for it, insisting on moving his family to the neighbouring Quinta del Lago village. Thus, this seemingly trivial incident snowballed into a festering resentment between two strong personalities, which would ultimately result in Keane's departure from the club. Inevitably, Keane's perspective on the villa saga was marked differently from Ferguson's. Keane contended that he recognised that he was at the summer camp for pre-season training, but it was also his family's holiday. As a result, he was inconsistent on finding appropriate accommodation that could accommodate his wife and 5 children. Keane explained that upon examining the first villa, which had 3 bedrooms and a small plunge pool, he deemed it unsuitable and unsafe for his large family, especially given the age range of his children. When presented with a second villa that was more to his liking, he made a decision that would not please his manager, opting to contact the people who had rented them the previous villa to arrange an extension on their stay for another week, effectively spurning Queiroz's efforts in the process. Despite Keane's justifications, the damage was done, and tensions between him and the management were irreparably strained, leading to his unceremonious departure from Manchester United. The situation quickly escalated, with the details of Keane's villa debacle eventually reaching Ferguson. After a training session, the manager pulled Keane aside to address the matter, informing him that the villas were adequate and Carlos Queiroz had done his best to accommodate his requests. Ferguson further claimed that Keane had erupted, lodging a long list of complaints including the absence of air conditioning, and directed his frustrations at Queiroz. Ferguson conceded that the episode created a considerable strain on their relationship. However, Keane disputed Ferguson's account and remembered the fallout differently. According to Keane, Ferguson made a massive fuss about the incident, which led to an intense argument in the dressing room following a training session. Keane expressed his disbelief at the severity of the reaction, suggesting that it was an overreaction. Following this confrontation, the two stopped talking, with Keane blaming Ferguson for the silence, while Ferguson attributed it to Keane's withdrawal from the team. And so, the fuse was lit, and the simmering tensions between the two eventually boiled over, leading to Keane's unceremonious exit from the club. At Manchester United, players were expected to offer their views on the in-house television channel MUTV once or twice a year. However, Keane missed the game he was scheduled to cover due to an injury, so he took the opportunity to speak to the channel after the team's 4-1 loss to Middlesbrough in October 2005, despite not participating in the match. During the interview, Keane did not hold back, offering sharp criticisms of his teammates. Keane's remarks were so scathing that the club decided to pull the interview from airing, not wanting to further inflame the situation. The interview, which was meant to provide insight into the game and the team's performance, instead created a toxic environment in the club and added fuel to the already simmering tensions between Keane and Ferguson. In the aftermath of Manchester United's 4-1 defeat to Middlesbrough, Roy Keane spoke to MUTV, the club's in-house channel, and expressed his disappointment with his teammates. Although he did not play in the match, Keane's message was clear. We weren't good enough, and we could do better. However, when the interview was not aired, Keane began to wonder if he had said something pretty bad and what had happened to the footage. Reflecting on the incident, Keane explained that his remarks were not made in a fit of rage, but rather a calculated attempt to motivate the team. The idea that I was in the studio ranting and raving, no, it was quite calculated, he said. At the back of my mind, part of me was thinking, what did I say in the video? Might I have said something pretty bad for them to pull it? However, the decision to not air the interview led to rumours and speculation about the content of the footage. During one training session, Keane expressed his frustration with his teammates. He labelled Kieran Richardson a lazy defender, and openly questioned why people in Scotland rave about Darren Fletcher. The fiery midfielder didn't hold back, and even called out Edwin van der Sar. But it was his comments about Rio Ferdinand that caused a stir. Keane said, "Just because you're paid £120,000 a week and play well for 20 minutes against Tottenham, you think you're a superstar." It wasn't long before the news of Keane's interview made the rounds at the club. Both Ferguson and the club's chief executive David Gill were made aware of it. In a bid to sort things out, Keane and Ferguson decided to show the players the interview to see if anyone had any issues. Captain Keane was present during the viewing. It quickly became apparent that Van der Sar had taken offence to Keane's comments and thought it was out of order. As a result, a heated exchange ensued between the two. The situation quickly escalated into a major row, leaving everyone involved on edge. During the launch of his autobiography, Sir Alex Ferguson commented on the MUTV interview where Roy Keane criticised his teammates, stating that Keane had gone too far. He remarked, "Roy overstepped his mark. Absolutely overstepped his mark. That's just the kind of personality he has. For some reason, he felt the need to criticise his fellow players. He did it on an MUTV show, but unfortunately, we couldn't release that video." Ferguson went on to explain that after the interview, some of the younger players were booed, and the team decided that they had to take action. This led to a meeting where tensions ran high, but Ferguson felt it was essential to maintain control. He commented, "The meeting that we had in that room was horrendous. I think it's clear that I had to show I was strong enough to deal with issues like that. Roy absolutely overstepped the line. There was nothing else we could do." Ferguson's words emphasised the gravity of the situation and the importance of upholding team unity and discipline. Expanding on the topic of the altercation, Ferguson recounted the intensity of the moment, detailing how he had never seen Keane in such a state before. He said, "I remember his eyes narrowing to wee black beads as we were arguing. It was a frightening sight, and that's coming from a man from Glasgow." With the need to maintain control and discipline within the team, Ferguson saw fit to impose a fine on Keane amounting to £5,000. However, the player did not agree with the decision, and it only added fuel to the fire. But the situation was more complicated than just a fine. It was apparent to Sir Alex that Keane was beginning to assume the role of a manager, which was not his responsibility. By criticising his teammates on national television, Keane overstepped his boundaries and undermined Ferguson's authority. Reflecting on the matter, the former manager acknowledged that the ultimate reason for Keane's departure from the club was his loss of control. The moment a player began to exert authority over the team, the stability of the club would be jeopardised. Ferguson knew that he had to act. As with David Beckham, I knew the minute a football player started trying to run the club, we would all be finished. Keane couldn't contain his emotions after learning of his dismissal, saying, "I got in my car and drove out of the training ground. I pulled over outside and cried for a few minutes. It was over." United's financial situation prevented them from immediately paying Keane in full, leading to an unexpected improvement in relations. Keane said, "After the paperwork was settled and I returned the car, 3 months after our last meeting, so I got an extra 3 months with it. I went to see the manager and Carlos and I apologised. But in hindsight, I wish I hadn't. Keane went on to clarify, I wanted to do the right thing. Apologise for what happened, not for my behaviour or stance. There's a difference. I had nothing to apologise for. Upon Keane's departure, a private agreement was established to keep the incident under wraps. However, Sir Alex Ferguson claimed that Keane was the one who broke the deal by publicly accusing the club of mistreatment during his time at Sunderland. I would have honoured that agreement but for the fact that Roy breached it first, Ferguson stated. When Roy accused United of insulting him and lying to him, the club considered legal action against him. Roy said he wouldn't retract the accusation. I felt like he was seeking to impress the fans with a day in court since he was still a hero to them. I advised David Gill to drop the legal action to preserve our dignity. Keane criticised Ferguson on off the ball with Gary Neville, questioning his claim that he always acted in the best interest of Manchester United. He also called into question the involvement of Ferguson's family members at the club and accused them of poor man management. Keane cited the treatment of former United players Brian Robson and Steve Bruce as examples. As of today, it seems that the long-standing beef between Roy Keane and Sir Alex Ferguson has not yet been fully resolved. While there has been such attempts at reconciliation, such as Keane's visit to Ferguson's house in 2017 and his apologies for some of his previous comments, there were still some lingering tensions between the two.